up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing the Villain Pack #1 for Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, published by Renegade Game Studios and designed by Jonathan Ying. Now, with that being said, Julie's going to tell you more about the core game for this expansion.
I was going to say, because this is just villains. So
Yes.
Core game is a cooperative game that plays 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 players, depending if you have the expansion or not.
Yes.
Plays in 45 to 90 minutes. If you've seen another video of ours, you'll know that we sometimes argue about the length of this video.
Yes. Well, not the length of the video.
The length of the game. What was I going to say? I think the age is 14 and above. I can't remember.
Yeah, 14 and above. You can definitely play it with a younger audience. It is mainly for the components. Like, we'll not quibble about the actual age, but you definitely don't need to be 14 to play this game.
Okay.
So, with that being said, what do you get in the pack? Well, you're going to find out in just a moment as we go over to the components. But just to tell you a little bit about the game itself, well, you have a command center. You will have the city of Angel Grove that is surrounding the command center. These dastardly villains, well, maybe the 2 monsters and one of the bosses, because you get 2 bosses, 2 monsters, will be assaulting Angel Grove with the help of some foot soldiers, potentially Putty Patrollers from the base game, and your Rangers will deploy from the command center to defeat the foot soldiers, defeat the monsters, finally kick Rito's butt or kick Master Vile's butt, and save Angel Grove. Now, with that being said, Julie, do you think I forgot anything?
Nope.
So what time is it?
It's time to grab our drinks.
She never says it's morphing time.
Nope.
Grab our best friend.
Now it's morphing time.
Now it's morphing time?
Yeah.
So we're going to take it to the table because Julie says it's...
Morphing time.
It's morphin.
Morphin. Okay.
Now we're going to take a quick look at the components for the Villain Pack #1 for Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. Now we'll start with the Polluticorn. We'll take a look at his miniature. So the wings definitely got plenty of detail. Got some detail on the back as well. If you're into painting, I have seen some people do really nice jobs, even though the minis aren't as detailed as, say, something from Saban. Let's take a look at the Polluticorn's cards. So deal 9 damage divided among the Rangers as they choose. That's no fun. A guard card that deals 5 damage. Fast, deal 2 damage to each Ranger twice. That's probably the nastiest one that we've got. We've got the Toxic Tornado. Rangers must discard a total of 4 cards. Who wants to do that? And then as you can see, we just have some more of those deal 5 damage. And of course, we'll just show the back ones. We have the new monster card to add to the deck. And you can tell it's a monster card by the back of the card. So we'll do it in reverse right now for Commander Crayfish. Change it up. So we have his monster card. Here are his cards. So his passive card here, deal 5 damage when this card is resolved. And while it's in play, each adjacent card does an extra 2 damage. Deal 3 damage to a single Ranger twice. A guard card that deals 4 damage. His Crayfish command, deal 2 damage and increase the damage by 1 for each foot soldier in the location. So he's definitely has some challenging cards. And we'll take a look at his miniature. So solid mini. Once again, like all the minis, not a ton of detail, but if you're a great painter and know how to use contrast paints, you can definitely do some really cool stuff. Now, we do get 2 new bosses in this expansion. So we'll start with the first boss, Rito Revolto. You can see he's got the boss card. So he is Rita's brother. Take a look at his cards. Fast, deal 3 damage to each Ranger. Flamethrower, that's no fun. Deal 5 damage. Guard, deal 3 damage to a single Ranger twice. His passive, while this card is in play, each time one of his cards is resolved, you increase that damage by 2. No fun. Now this is probably the nastiest card in the deck. Stumbling Fool, draw 2 cards from Rito Revolto's enemy deck and place them after this card in combat sequence. Place 1 hit token on each of the cards, but if you're not fighting him by himself, that's a lot of cards to take out. We'll take a look at his mini. Now, his sword has always been just a little curved for me. Could probably fix it by boiling it in water. We got all the detail from the costume. The only thing I really wish we kind of had was sort of a line down the middle to really delineate like what his other half is. But other than that, really cool miniature. The line's only really necessary if you're going to be painting up the miniatures anyway. And lastly, we'll go from the top down. We've got Master Vile, Rito, and Rita's father. So definitely a very cool mini. I love all the detail of the stuff that he's wearing. And take a look at his cards. So he's got a really nasty card. The Hex Blast deals 6 damage twice. Hideous Power. While this card is in play, increase the damage by 2. So that's 8 damage twice. Very few Rangers can survive that. Negation Wave that drains 6 energy. Guard deal 3 damage to each Ranger twice. And then his Warlock's Curse, which is terrible. While this card is in play, the energy cost of all combat cards goes up by 1. As you can see, he's a very challenging villain. Probably second or even first be between him and Lord Zed. And then, of course, we've got the Master Vile boss card. So there you have it. We've taken a look at the components for the villain pack number 1. Now keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review for this expansion. So the villain pack number 1 for Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. What did you think of these monsters, these bosses? And then we'll talk about our thoughts on the expansion overall.
Well, there's one that stuck out to me just because he's really weird looking to me, and I like the Polluticorn.
The Polluticorn with the unicorn that
pollutes, I guess.
Yes.
See, I don't know any of these villains, so they come out, and some of them it's like, oh, okay.
Well, I remember some of them. There's definitely certain ones that stand out to me just because of like memorable episodes from the show, but not all of them stand out. Like I don't remember the Commander Crayfish so much. The Polluticorn's so-so.
So anyways, his cards are also kind of rough. So
yeah, I think the Polluticorn is definitely a little rougher than Commander Crayfish.
Yeah, and then Rito, is that
yes,
it?
Rito Revolto, who is Rita's brother, by the way.
I was gonna say I remember Rita, but this one's called Rito. So
yes, so he was in a later edition, so that's why you probably never saw it. Your brother probably outgrew him at that point.
We didn't watch Power Rangers in the house. We've gone over this before. He watched TNMT, and that's it.
He's missing out on great shows. What were you thinking, Bobby?
So, Rito is a hard boss. I think he's one of the hardest ones we've played.
Are you thinking Rito or are you thinking Master Vile? Master Vile was the one that was blasting us like crazy with the 8 damage.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was Rito.
No. So you got them inverse. Rito was the one with the sword who is still very annoying. He had that card that could potentially, well...
Oh, yes, that came out afterwards when he had
yes,
no cards left.
Very lucky. We had the Stumbling Fool card, which would let him potentially have up to 6 enemy cards out. That came out during the second time. So we got lucky. But yes, I think they're both very challenging bosses.
Yeah, well, deal 6 damage twice with a passive card that says that while this card is still active, anything that deals damage does 2 more damage.
Well,
with a fast card that does 8 damage twice, basically. Yeah, that's a little hard to deal with.
So that was Master Vile. So in any case, you were talking about the Polluticorn. What did you think about him?
Well, I thought he's a cool mini.
Yeah. Other than that, didn't feel too difficult.
Well, his cards were a little harder than some of the others. I found some of the other bosses. I think, as you said, the Crayfish, whatever, was the easiest one.
Yeah, I think Commander Crayfish definitely feels a lot more like an entry-level sort of boss. Like if you're taking a look at the base game, it tells you to play Bones like first. I mean, he's not overly challenging. He has like one card that could really sort of scale a few things up, but nothing that's really going to punish the Rangers very hard early on. Whereas the Polluticorn definitely has some of those where it's like hit every Ranger and they're fast. So he was far more annoying. Whereas you're getting something a little more standard. But that's nice for an expansion. I like the fact that you get like a harder and a more difficult one.
Well, they definitely have two more difficult ones, I'd say. And I think then Rito, if I mistake him, he was just, middle of the road. He was not the easiest, but he wasn't the hardest either.
No, but Rito definitely has a potential to be a very challenging boss if that Stumbling Fool card comes out. Now, with the right combo, the right Rangers, if you can take out all 6 of those boss cards and you don't have any foot soldier cards, well, you can just decimate Rito in basically one round. You almost have, because once those cards are defeated, they do not go back in his deck, meaning the next time you fight him, you'll only have 2 cards. So that's one of the things to take into consideration. They do take some damage. He has some big, hard hits, but whereas I find like Master Vile and even the Polluticorn, which it's kind of funny though if you like compare them, Rito and Commander Crayfish have some similar stuff, whereas Master Vile and the Polluticorn have similar stuff. He'll hit one Ranger very hard, so it's easier to defend or have like 2 4 damage attacks, whereas you can also, some of Rito's cards let you sort of spread the damage and the pain. Whereas Master Vile was kind of like, no, I'm just going to blow the crap out of one Ranger.
Yeah. Or deal 6 damage twice, basically.
Yeah, when you're dealing 8 damage twice, you got 5 cards in your hand. There's a very good chance, especially depending on the amount of cards you have in your deck and how many Rangers you're playing with, there's a good chance Ranger could die because you cannot split that damage. You need to go in against him with some defensive cards, defensive Zords, some abilities to make sure that you're okay. Now, if you're lucky and you get both of those Hex Blast cards and his other card doesn't show up, you might be good. But don't forget, we also have Master Vile's card that raises the energy cost of every card by 1. Very annoying. So, just some quick tactics to take him out. You want to deal damage to multiple cards at once. So if you saw a review for the Zeo Rangers, you definitely have a few characters there that are able to do it. The Power Pod Sword for the Zeo Rangers will let you do it. Or if you're playing with just some of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like any of those cards or abilities that will let you split your attack amongst different amount of cards, those are the sort of things that you're going to need to really make a big difference. So I think we've talked enough about the different monsters. Anything that you'd like to add, Julie?
No, I think that's it.
So what would you rate this expansion?
I'd give it a 7, I think.
I think for me, it's a little bit higher than that. I give it a 7.5 because this is really the first solo villain expansion that you can get for the game. Now, you do have the option of getting Shattered Grid, which will add in Rangers and some villains, but this I find really rounds out sort of, and this is talking from a fan, like the last bit of core monsters from the original show. Like if you have the Kickstarter exclusive box, you've got Lord Zed, you've got Master Vile, you've got Rito, her father, Master Vile, so you really get everyone doing that. And I do think that if you just have the base game and you maybe don't want to spend a ton of money on Shattered Grid, not sure what it's going for these days, this is another good option to add variety and keep the game replayable with your still core set of Rangers. Anything more that you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is, as Jason pointed out, and as we've said in other expansion reviews, obviously Jason is a huge fan. So, Yeah,
I've got more to talk about the characters. And I think, it makes sense. We're talking about a nice addition to a game, but as you would say, is this an essential addition to the game?
I don't think so.
Now, I don't think it's an essential addition myself, but I think it is a very good addition. Now, it will not be out at the time of this video. By the time it drops, there is another villain pack coming, I believe. It's been previewed, so the Machine Empire is coming. Now, if that villain pack has new bosses, monsters, and foot soldiers, well, that's the pack they got over this one. Just because you'll be getting foot soldiers, and that's definitely, I think, the biggest weakness we can both agree with. Besides the Kickstarter exclusives, you aren't getting any more foot soldiers for the game as of yet. And that's what you're fighting the most of, so variety there is something that the game definitely needs a little more of.
So on that note, it's time to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
You can also take a look down below in the video description to find links to all of our social media feeds. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's tons of pictures of us playing against Rito, Master Vile, and the other monsters from this pack on those social media feeds. And then also popping up in front of me shortly will be links, well, also in front of Julie as well, links to some of our previously released content. One will be to our most recent video. The other will take you back to our review on how to play of Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. With that being said, Julie, what time is it?
It's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend.
We're going to keep playing games.
Gonna keep playing games. And also, what else do we need to do? What else do we need to say? It was your idea.
On 3.
1, 2, 3. Go, go, Power Rangers!